Hello and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf. Well, this week it's the final event of the West Coast Swing on the PGA Tour, the Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club. Elk, we're going to dive deep when it comes to the course, because who would know this course better than the guy who won the 1995 PGA Championship on it?
Well, that's right, Diane. Riviera is everybody's favorite venue almost, perched right in the middle of Los Angeles, right up on top of the hill, Diane, looking down, surrounded by mansions and everyone in LA, and it's an elevated event, and this club is elevated up on top of this hill, and you play down in this bowl all day, start on number 1 down the hill, and you come back up the hill on 18. Historical place, Diane, fantastic. Everyone from Hogan and Nicklaus, all these guys have won there. There's only one guy that's never won at Riviera, and he's playing this week, and that's Tiger Woods. It's hard to believe that's coming out of my mouth. You know, Lee Trevino said one time, he says, God doesn't give everybody everything. Well, I guess he held one tiny little course out of Tiger's resume, and that is Riviera. And what do you think about him playing this week, and does he have a chance?
Well, it's crazy because the golf world blew up last Friday when Tiger tweeted and put on his Instagram that he was going to be playing this week. Of course, Tiger is the host of this event and has been for a long time. His foundation benefits greatly. But you're right, it's the elusive course. It's the one that has escaped him, and it's the one that he doesn't have a win on. And I'm sure he's not going to be satisfied with his career until he has Riviera on it. Will he? Will he not? We haven't seen him play since the Open at St Andrews last July, and that wasn't exactly a huge success. Well, he played with his son Charlie in the PNC, but yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised to hear that he was going to play this week. Happy, and I think we're always very optimistic and hopeful when it comes to Tiger. Our expectations have maybe been, managed a little bit since we saw him play last year. And, obviously I made reference to the Open, but I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the thing about Tiger is he plays to win, right? Do you really think he has expectation of going out there and seriously competing this week?
Well, I remember when he first came on at this golf course, he was about a 15-year-old. He got a sponsor's invite, and we're all wondering. And Sandy Lyle, a Scotsman, countryman of yours, was the current Masters champion. And they asked Sandy Lyle, he said, "What do you think of Tiger Woods?" Mm-hmm. And Sandy Lyle said, with his Scottish humor, he said, "I've never played that course." He didn't even know who Tiger Woods was. Now, we do know this. I do know this about Tiger Woods. He knows how hard a course it is to walk down these hills, the first hole and up the hill at 18. So I know his leg's going to be fine or ready, because he would have practiced that. He would have done stair stepping. It is a very demanding course in places to get up and down some of these hills. I think Max Honma tweeted the other day, said, "Oh, I'm glad to see Tiger's playing. We'll have to carry him down the first hole and carry him up the 18th hole." But certainly Tiger will be ready. He'll be ready to play. He's never won on this course. I don't know how many times he's played there. I was paired with him one year in the last round of a tournament where he shot 65. And I asked him, "How come you've never won here?" And he just kind of did one of those. He says, "Someday soon, maybe." But I don't have I'm not handicapping Tiger this week. I don't have anything to go by. He's never won this tournament. He's coming out of Diane. I mean, he hasn't played on tour in a year, except with Charlie, as you said. So I think he's going to be doing his host duties this week. He takes that job very seriously. But I think he'll get out there and play his practice rounds with Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, maybe Rory McIlroy, get a feel for tournament speed, meaning that these guys have been out playing, you're watching the ball flight, get everything moving. You can't really simulate that at home. But I'm interested in you telling me what the odds are for Tiger, because I don't have him anywhere on my board.
Well, he's 150 to 1. And when you look at the odds board this week, once again, we're into another one of these elevated events. We'll go back and talk about last week briefly, but $20 million purse, $3.6 million to the winner. So, you know, the odds, when you look at Tiger being 150 to 1, it's actually very good. And he's pretty far up when you're scrolling. So I was looking top 20, he's plus 475. I think Tiger making the cut is ambitious. Is that fair to say?
Very optimistic that Tiger may make the cut, Diane. You know, we know Tiger Woods will be prepared. All the great players, they always come to events ready to go. So we know he's a great putter. We know he loves playing in Los Angeles. That's where he's from. He knows how to putt Poana greens. But I can't imagine him being ready and everyone else is up to speed. And we've got the best players of all the tour in this new elevated event. So it's going to be a push. I've got him at 31% making the cut. Just made that up.
I was like, where are you getting that stat from? Well, his best finish here has been in a tie for 7th way back in 2004. He played here in 2020 and finished 68th. So we'll see. I mean, like, obviously, everyone gets excited when Tiger's playing an event. We were really expecting it to only be the majors going forward. So this is an added bonus, and it's going to get a lot more eyes on the event, a lot more buzz in the run-up to the Genesis Invitational. And with him being the host and his charity benefiting, it's only a good thing. So Tiger's good for everyone. We know that. I want to go back very quickly to last week, the WM Phoenix Open. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like crazy mayhem, and you feel it when you're just sat at home watching it. It was, again, an elevated event. Scottie Scheffler defending his title successfully and taking home $3.6 million. It's a bit of a shame that the tournament was kind of over. It was really between him and Nick Taylor towards the end. And when Taylor bogeyed 16, it was almost handed to Scheffler in that respect. But you had another top 10 in Jon Rahm. You're on a roll.
Oh, I'm on a roll of picking a guy that's pretty obviously playing well, Jon Rahm. He didn't play that great at golf last week, but he was right there, finished third. You know, it was very, very apparent to me, Diane, that what we talked about in the show last week about super duper length off the tee was so advantageous at that course. Jason Duffner was paired. My friend Jason was paired with Rory McIlroy yesterday, and he told me that he hit 9-iron into 2 par 5s yesterday, which is just insanity. He said it's just the biggest weapon you could ever have. Rory didn't have his greatest week, and we predicted that too. He'd only ever played there once. But Scottie Scheffler is a very quiet sort of an assassin. I mean, you feel it when Jon Rahm's in contention. You almost sort of, he knows that he's got a chance, and he acts on every putt. He's pumping fists on the 5th hole when he makes par. You feel it with him. You don't feel it as much with Scottie. He just kind of, you know, goes along. He's got some funky footwork, but he's maybe in the desert one hole and then up and down on the next hole. But 65 yesterday, Diane, with the lead is so strong. And there he is again, back on number 1.
And when he made the putt for par on 16, that's when you just see he's got like the heart of a lion. And when he's in these tough situations, we saw it at the Masters when he won the green jacket too. He saves par in the most spectacular way. He's just got so much fight about him, and you can tell that he wants it. But very cool for him, bearing in mind that last year that was the scene of his first PGA Tour win, and how much his life has changed within the last 12 months. So always a great champion. And we're on to another elevated event this week. So the ball just keeps on rolling before the guys head over to the start of the Florida swing at the Honda Classic next week. But we're talking Riviera Country Club. We talked about it at the top of the show, that this is where you won the 1995 PGA Championship. I was there with you a couple of years ago. There's a great statue with the names of everyone who's won on the course before, and your name is up there. I mean, we've talked about it so many times. We've watched the videos and the reruns of the footage so many times, but you won in a playoff against Colin Montgomery. What's your biggest takeaway from that day? Maybe before you teed off, and then when you knew that something special was unfolding.
Well, I was having a great year. I finished up winning the Varden Trophy for the lowest stroke average in 1995. I started the year at a win at the Tournament of Champions, and I finished third in the Masters, a fifth in the British Open and St Andrews. So I was playing some great golf, going back to a course, Riviera, that I knew really well. The long hitters don't have a super big advantage, and I knew that. But this course favors a fade shot off the tee. Of course, it's called Hogan's Alley. There's only two holes that sort of require a draw, and that's hole 6 and hole 13. But, on Sunday for me, Diane, I got hot, and I had kind of lost the Open Championship at St Andrews in a way that I just didn't really feel like I should have. In other words, I got so nervous on the back nine, I didn't know if this was going to be for me. And fortunate enough for me, I was able to get right back in and play at Riviera 3 weeks later. And there I was, had another chance. And Ernie Els was only 2 grips behind me, and he was ahead by 6 strokes. But I got hot right out of the gate and found myself 2 shots ahead through 12 holes on Sunday. And right then I knew one thing was for sure, that I was not going to take my foot off the gas all the way in. And it took all of that. And then I had to beat Colin Montgomery with a birdie on the extra playoff hole. So fabulous week for me, historical week, great course. Our stats have changed a little bit from last week, where this is a much harder golf course to hit greens and save pars, not favoring the super long hitters this week.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Kikuyu mate grass. I can't say it in my accent because I'm so used to hearing you saying Kikuyu that I feel like I can only say it in that terrible Australian twang that I attempt to do. But that grass, it's known for being sticky grass. So it makes it even harder. You've got the Poa greens, you've got the Kikuyu rough. What are the challenges that the guys are going to face in that sense?
Well, Kikuyu is real spongy grass. So if you take big divots, you're in trouble at Riviera. You better learn how to sweep the ball. And when you get into the rough, as you just said, sometimes it sits up really nice and you can get right on top of it and make it skid across there and bite like crazy. Other times you can't quite get your blade underneath it and you don't know what it's going to do. So you finish up seeing guys chip good shots, and the next one they hit it 1 foot in front of them. So it's all about how it finishes in the Kikuyu. We'll find out this week if the rough is really high. I suspect it will be as much rain as they've had in Los Angeles in the last 2 months. It's been underwater out there. So I'm thinking this is going to be a higher scoring tournament than usual. Won't be playing. We saw Pebble Beach, how cool it was and how soft the courses were. I think Riviera will not be firm and fast, playing a little longer. Yes, Kikuyu is a factor, and it does favor the guys that sweep the ball, so to speak, Diane, not digging down to Tasmania.
Well, we're not going to see the low-scoring event that we've seen in some of these other West Coast events. Over the last decade, the cut has been over par every year. Last year, it was Joaquin Niemann who won. Of course, he's gone off to live golf now, but he beat Cameron Young and Colin Morikawa by 2. Morikawa went super low, 6 under on Sunday to really jump up that leaderboard. The 2 of them are back in action this week. And, well, we're going to be giving our picks. We've got outright favourites, ones to watch, and then those dark horses who are at or over 100 to 1. So we'll see. I mean, we talked about it last week with these elevated events, with all these big names, with the world's best playing. I always think it makes it a little bit harder to handicap. You've been on a roll of late, so maybe it's easier for you, especially at this course. But you've got this little bunch of guys, and we saw it yesterday at the WM Phoenix Open. It was great to have Nick Taylor in amongst all these guys in the mix. But, you had Xander up there, Justin Thomas, Jordan, John Rahm, all in the conversation. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler who went on to win. But it's you're looking at those guys that are really top of the pack.
Yeah, and I said something wrong a minute ago when I'm going to talk about the course just for a minute. But when you have the top 20 or 25 of the top 30 players on the tour playing in one event, we saw what that does onto the leaderboard on the weekend, Diane. They're slightly better for a reason, and we see those guys push their way up. There was only one guy, Nick Taylor, and he wasn't a rookie. I didn't see any rookies up there at the end, and we sort of predicted that because it's such an elevated event. a lot of pressure. This week will be much the same. But talking about this George Thomas design golf course, Diane, the trick about Riviera is there's sort of lots of little elevation shots with these big yawning bunkers that sit right up high to your eye, and you've got to come in up over, try to put some spin. They've got corners of these greens that are hard to get to. If you don't drive it in the fairway, you can't do anything at all. Can't even play the golf course if you're not in the fairway at Riviera. And what happens, Diane, is you finish up not hitting as many greens in regulation as you normally would on tour. We know from studying the stats for the last 19 years, it's almost identical formula to win this. The greens in reg average at this time of year is up in the 70%. You're going to hit, the winners hit 65% of the greens at Riviera because they're hard to hit. They'll hit and spin off. They'll hit and jump left. So you've got to have your short game really good. You've got to have the most important stat this week is who is not going to make bogeys, who is going to stay, who is not willing to give up a par. And that's a very crucial stat. Now, that's why I wonder why Tiger Woods has never won it. That guy never made bogey hardly when he was trying the hardest. But Joaquin Niemann won this tournament last year, and he hit about 63% of his greens. When I won, I hit 65%. Drove the ball in the top 20, both of us. And then in putting, we both finished number one, 1.5 putts per hole. So there's only two ways to win this. You've got to be able to chip on the greens that you miss and keep it going all week. So what I'm looking for, Diane, I'm looking for guys that are hot players, can hit greens, and when they miss, they can get it up and down, and they've got a little history at Riviera, because I don't think guys going there for the first time are going to do anything.
Okay, maybe we're looking at the same sort of combination, which again is a great confidence boost for me, bearing in mind you're doing so well right now with your picks, and two, you've won a major here. So we are going to dive into those picks then. We'll start with our outright favourites. And, well, I'll let you go first.
Okay, you'll let me go first? All right. Well, I was watching the telecast last week, and they were doing that deal where they put the plugs in the players' ears, and they go live while the guy's in the tournament. And I was watching Tom Kim, and his caddy, of course, used to caddy for Ricky Fowler, Joe, and Ian Baker Finch asked Tom Kim, "What is it like having an experienced caddy?" And Tom Kim said something very interesting to me that the reason I'm picking him this week, and that was that when he gets to a tournament that he hasn't played before, like Phoenix, he says, I can just relax in the practice rounds because Joe is here. He's telling me everywhere to go, where not to go, and I can just focus on, my swing, my putting, my practice, and so on. But I'm picking Tom Kim this week, Diane. I think he's one of these young guys that's up for a big win here coming down the stretch. Tiger's in town. Everybody's in town. All lights are on LA. Tom Kim's a bright star. Putt's good. It was a coin flip between him and Some JM for me. I've been watching Some J play for a month now, playing super golf. Putt's good. He chips the best, but I got a feeling about Tom Kim.
Okay. Well, I love Tom Kim, huge fan, have been since the President's Cup. So it would be great. And, that going back to the TV feature that they have now, when the players are mic'd up with the AirPods in, talking down the fairway, it's just brilliant. And, Patrick Cantlay said that he's not game, he's not going to be one to do it. But then you've had like Keith Mitchell, Max Homa, Tom Kim now. There's a certain personality that's going to warm to that and be more entertaining, I guess, for the viewers. So Tom Kim, tick in my book. Right, well, my outright favourite this week is 16-1. Tom Kim, by the way, 35-1. So I've got a definite higher favourite on the odds board. I'm going with a guy that you love, Elk. He is a fellow PGA champion. Justin Thomas is going to be my outright favourite this week. Now, Justin Thomas is An elite ball striker. There are times that we don't see it. There are times that we do see it and he is switched on. Like when he won the Players' Championship, I'll always go back to that. Just a tremendous display. And we really saw that over the weekend at the WM Phoenix Open. He shot 67, 65, finished in solo 4th. I was looking at his stats. He was 3rd off the tee and 2nd tee to green. Now, you talk about experience at this course. He's had 3 top 10s at the Genesis Invitational. He was runner-up in 2019, 6th last year. Justin Thomas loves Tiger Woods. They've got this like special friendship. So for him, this has to be one where, you know, he would love to have this on his resume. He would love to do it for Tiger. The kind of old school Hollywood glamour, that almost plays into Justin Thomas's game and just the way that he is. So I think at 16-1, after how we saw him play at the weekend in Phoenix, JT is going to be my outright favourite this week.
It's a good pick, and you're right about all those little elements that go into this broth of tea, if you will. Riviera, Hollywood, elevated event, Tiger, you know, Tiger there. It just changes everything about the event.
Okay. All right. So our next picks are going to be our ones to watch. My guy is 110-1. What kind of odds are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at 100-1 for my player to watch, which I can't believe he's 100-1. I think I may have a guy that could contend for the championship.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to kick it off?
No, you keep going because we'll get something in the can here.
Okay. Right, well, my guy, I've been watching him for a while now. I picked him for the American Express. But his game has really been trending in the right direction for a while now, and the Amex was one of those tournaments that is kind of known for being his favourite. But he's played this tournament 8 times before, so he knows Riviera, he knows what it's going to take. His best finish here was 6th. He's having a good season, as I said. He's had 3 top 10s this season, including a 10th place finish in Phoenix last week. I'm going with Adam Hadwin, 110-1. He's 60th in approach and 21st in putting. So we said that those are going to be important stats this week. And if he can, you know, hit greens and then convert the putts like he's been doing and like he did last week. I saw him play the 16th over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to pretty much perfection. So Adam Hadwin, I love it at 110-1. When I saw that price, I was all over it today.
Yeah, that's a good price on him. You know, when you think about the past champions of this tournament, Diane, when you think of, you know, all the way back, Hogan, you know, Freddie Couples a couple of times, Corey Pavin, you know, all these guys, Craig Stadler, Dustin Johnson, Adam Scott, you know, what do they all do? They're all sort of superior strikers of the ball. And, you know, hitting these greens at Riviera is really the tricks. So I'm looking at guys that hit the ball, you know, hit the ball really well, just naturally. They're in fairway, in play. My player is having a spectacular West Coast, Diane, and is 100-1, and he's already won on the West Coast. Of course, I'm talking about Siwoo Kim, who won the Players' Championship. He knows how to win under pressure. He's in tremendous form. He's won huge money every week on the West Coast, including winning at Hawaii just a month ago. 100-1 is a ridiculous price. I think Siwoo's type of game keeps it in play, gets into these greens, and just stays with it all week. Just stays with it.
Okay, and he's been winning some mental clothes. Have you? He's sponsored by PGA Tour clothing, and you being the fashion guy that you are, and we talked about that old Hollywood glamour of Riv. Some of these mad geometric sweaters are hopefully going to be on show this week.
Well, that's the Korean way, right? They bold, big, bold, everything, squares, diamonds, triangles, all together. I love it. It's great. It works. They get away with it. I love it.
And you're right. He's got the character that goes with it too. Right. So our ones to watch, you have Siwoo Kim at 100-1, and I'm going with Adam Hadwin at 110-1. And then finally, dark horse picks, and we say they have to be over 100-1. So I can't wait to see what your guys' odds are going to be. Do you want to go first then with your dark horse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, as you get down the list, when you have 30 or 40 of the top players in the world playing in an event, the odds start to get really long, really fast, because Vegas knows for these guys to jump in and play well, it's monumental. But I'm looking at one guy with a medium range game, meaning that he doesn't hit the ball a mile, but is in really good form. Played well last week in Phoenix, but I'm taking a Riviera specialist this week. He's played 10 times at Riviera, and he's won it once 7 years ago. 8th, 5th, 27th, 36th, so-and-so, so-and-so. Has about 90% chance of making the cut. I'm talking about James Hahn from California, knows how to play out in the West Coast, understands Poana, when to go, when not to. One of the things we talked about when Max Homa won here in LA and won twice in Napa and now in California, they know how to play in Poana, when to attack, when to stay back, keep away from these corners of the greens. So you can't get up and down at Riviera every time. You've got to be in the right spot. So James Hahn knows all that, of course. 10 times around here, Diane has as good a record as anyone. 250 to 1.
Ah, wow. Okay. When it came to past champions, there's one guy that we haven't mentioned. He's 55 to 1. Adam Scott. I definitely think we have to talk about Adam Scott quickly, because when you look at past performance and course history here, this is the guy. He's won it twice. He's had 2 runner-up finishes, an additional 3 top 10s, finished 4th last year. He played in Hawaii, went back to Australia, has been working on his game, was never going to miss this tournament because A, he's had success, and B, he said he just loves the course. So 55 to 1 for Adam Scott.
Yeah, when you look at Adam's stats, you can't find anything in there to say, yes, he's going to do well at Riviera. However, until you get into the last box here and we show the last 10 events, and we realize that Kikuya, Adam's weakest part of his game is putting. Strongest part is driving and hitting it in play every hole. But Diane, to quantify how a guy plays a certain course because he likes it off the tee or he knows how to sweep his irons at Riviera, Kikuya, whatever it is, we've seen it a ton of times. There's horses for courses, and if there was ever one, it's this one. He elevates when he comes here for this elevated event.
I like it. Okay, well, my dark horse pick is also 250 to 1, the same as yours with James Hahn, and I'm taking Sepp Straka, the Austrian. So he's my dark horse. We haven't seen him playing much this year. He played in Hawaii at the start of the year, and then he went over to play the DP World Tour, and no cuts made in those 2 events. So we're throwing that out the window. But the main reason I'm picking him is he's a great iron player, and his approach stat is definitely his best stat. Looking at his season-long stats, again, he hasn't played for a while, so you can't really read into them too much, but 20th for the season, and from 125 yards out, he's 4th, so I kind of like that. 4th appearance at Riviera, he finished in a tie for 15th last year, and last year, remember, he played well here, and then he went on and won the Honda the following week, and you talk about those biorhythms, so maybe this is Sepp Straka's biorhythm time, in that, last year, this time of year, he had the best couple of weeks ever. So I like Sepp Straka at 250 to 1.
I like it. We haven't even spoke of some absolute career stud players. Cantlay went to UCLA, plays probably as good a record as anyone at this course. Honma, of course, plays well. Finau, Rahm, of course, McIlroy, Scotty Sheff, Lowry could play here. Will Zalatoris is back in action. All these top players. The Gala, who we've talked about before. Jordan Spieth should do pretty good here. When you start to think about what would look like a champion at Riviera, you would start to think about a guy like Jordan Spieth, and gets it up and down from everywhere, no matter where it is. He can get it up and down, avoids bogeys, and that's the most important stat, Diane. But the question with Jordan always is, can he drive it where he can play the hole from? Yeah. So there's minuscule ups and downs in this board right here, but Diane, it's all going to come down to bogey avoidance. When you play Riviera, you should get off to a great start. The first hole is a very short par 5. Then you start to wind around the course, Diane. You start to play some really difficult holes. 7, 9 is a monster. 10's tricky. 11's a little breather, par 3, but then you play 13, 14, 15, 16. They're all into the wind, normally off the ocean. You know, it's a course you can score on, but when the pins are pushed into the corners, you've got to be pinpoint accurate to get in there.
I've just got a few other things I was looking at. Patrick Cantlay, he's 25-1. And as you say, Californian, knows what it's all about. He leads for greens and reg percentage on the tour and scrambling from the fringe. For a top 10 here, he's just over 3-1. So that was quite appealing. And then just to throw it out there, if you think Tiger Woods could maybe finish in the top 20, he's plus 475. Maybe.
Well, I'll throw one more stat in. There's one other way you can almost win this tournament. Colin Montgomery, the one that I beat, the player that I beat in the 95 PGA, Colin Montgomery hit 85% of his greens for the week at Riviera and 83% of his fairways at Riviera and did not win because I birdied the extra hole, the 73rd hole, Diane. So you can hit a million greens, but the best way to do it is to putt your lights out.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Right. Well, we're going to see it in action this week. We cannot wait. We love this golf course for obvious reasons, and we're going to have to throw up some of our Riv content this week to relive your epic victory in 1995. The picture of Annie in the Wanamaker, we're definitely going to have to post because it's our favorite picture of all time, and I can see it. Yeah. She's there. She's 27 years old now, so that's how long ago it was. No, it's an iconic venue. The golf course is always fabulous. This elevated event almost didn't need to be. Everyone goes to this one anyway, Diane, but the 20 million, my friend Jason Duffner played well last week. He finished 30th and won $109,000 to give you a feel of what elevated events for 31st on the tour was last week. So Nick Taylor, who finished second, obviously would have been disappointed not to win, but he took home over $2 million for finishing in second place.
Yeah.
So it's just these elevated events, there's a lot on the line. And also this week, don't forget, we have the Netflix documentary coming out, Full Swing. Are you going to be watching it?
I certainly will. I want to see what I used to get up to. I'm sure I did some of the things they did. We'll see.
Yeah, at this point I'm just nosy. And everyone said it, but they picked out.
Oh, I want to see if they do anything different than what we did.
Exactly. And then after the Genesis, next week we move on to Florida. The Players Championship is obviously the next big one that's in sight, but the Honda Classic coming up, we've got Bay Hill. This is really the meaty part of the season from here on out, which is great. And we'll be back with our tour report next week.
The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, the place for you to compete and win cash on PGA Tour events. The SG Tour is a golf experience like no other, with games designed by golf professionals. You can play single-day games and tournament-long contests each week. It's easy to get involved. Join or create a game for you and your buddies. Pick 4 players and follow along with the action. And if you need some help with your picks, we've got you covered with our weekly handicapping show, The Tour Report, and exclusive content with our PGA Tour players. Join the fun and win money on the SG Tour, available in the App Store.